I have been asked whether, in the years to come, it will be possible to kill 40 million American people by the use of atomic bombs in a single night. I am afraid that the answer to that question is yes.
Robert Oppenheimer was the father of the atomic bomb. He was this complex ball of contradictions.
They are weapons of aggression, of surprise, and of terror.
Oppenheimer wanted the bomb to be used. How else would the world know what it was?
Dr. Oppenheimer, are we creating something we may not be able to control?
In the world of atomic weapons, wars will cease.
Is D-1 for the test of the world's first atomic device.
This cultured, non-violent man was responsible for birthing the most violent weapon in human history. And he devoted the rest of his life to trying to control the monster that he had unleashed.
If there is another world war, this civilization may go under.
He became a political pariah.
Is it true that humans have already discovered a method of destroying humanity?
And it finally ruined him.
Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds.
We have made a thing that by all the standards of the world we grew up in is an evil thing.
When I was 15, I had a chance to speak to Oppenheimer alone. He was at a cocktail party. I was serving hors d'oeuvres and found Oppenheimer standing alone. I said, "I think you're some sort of a saint." And he was very taken aback. And he said, "Well, why would you say that to me?" And I said, "Because you had second thoughts." And he turned around and picked his hat up and walked out the door. It obviously struck him in a way that I had never imagined.
Oppenheimer for Cronkite, take one.
Dr. Oppenheimer, with all the inevitability of the decision that history demonstrates to us, you still seem to suffer, may I say, from a bad conscience about it. Is that true, sir?
I think when you play a meaningful part in bringing about the death of over 100,000 people, you naturally don't think of that with ease.
When you look at the history of Oppenheimer, it's very difficult to find any person in history sitting in such a complex situation with all kinds of impossible questions and very few answers.
Everybody has their own idea of what Robert Oppenheimer is. I mean, the fact is that he invented a weapon that can destroy human life on Earth. I mean, don't forget that this weapon, which has the capacity to end civilization, was developed as a means to save Western civilization.
Deutsches Volk hilft dir selbst. Jeder soll helfen.
In the 1930s, millions of Americans were following the news coming out of Europe in their local theaters, watching newsreels. And Oppenheimer was horrified by the rise of Hitler.
His sense of his own Jewishness made him immediately and massively aware of the danger of fascism.
When the war started in 1939, he was a professor at Berkeley. And That same year, one of his students comes rushing into his office to convey the news that fission has been discovered.
Word has just come through from Germany that the uranium atom under neutron bombardment actually splits into two parts.
Initially, Oppenheimer can't believe it. He runs to the blackboard and does some mathematics, and he comes to the understanding that you could use fission to generate energy.
Einstein showed explicitly that if you can convert matter into pure energy, the amount of energy is extraordinary. It's the speed of light squared, for crying out loud.
They realized that from a very small amount of matter, you could make power to drive ships and planes and trains, whatever, make electricity, of course. And they also realized very quickly that it might be possible to make a weapon of untold destruction. We were deeply worried. After all, the discovery of fission was in Nazi Germany.
Nazi Germany could potentially build a nuclear bomb. This was the worry, and it was very tangible, it was very real.
December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy.
Pearl Harbor happens.
I assert that this form of treachery shall never again endanger us.
Now the United States is an active combatant in the war. The idea at this point is we basically need to get this done as quickly as possible, because we could wake up tomorrow and Hitler could have that nuclear monopoly that we all want to avoid. So we need a place where we can design, build, test, and help deliver nuclear weapons. But even before we pick the place, though, we need to find somebody who can lead that installation. And virtually nobody expected Oppenheimer to be named the director of the Weapons Design Laboratory.
He was kind of this ethereal personality. He had no record of having big achievements. One of the scientists who knew Oppenheimer said, "This is a man who couldn't run a hot dog stand."
Oppenheimer's friends felt that he was a divided man, not quite sure of his identity. He said at one point, from my earliest days, I never did anything or thought anything or knew anyone where I didn't feel about myself the deepest loathing.
Oppenheimer was born in 1904 and into an age of great scientific possibility. The first 2 decades of the 20th century were periods of incredible intellectual daring. Electricity, automobiles, flight were all transforming daily life. And then you had incredible advances in science. And it looks like almost anything could be achieved.
The story of Robert Oppenheimer is really the story of immigrant America. His father comes over from Germany, gets the job in the garment industry, and makes a tremendous amount of money, winds up on the Upper West Side on Riverside Drive. And he's got a Picasso, and he's got 3 Van Goghs.
His mother was a Paris-trained artist who exhibited her work at various galleries in Manhattan.
She was a nervous person. She really didn't let this little boy go outside.
And he was very sheltered and extremely socially awkward.
When he finally